Good afternoon, Jefferson students. Today is March 17th. Do you know what today is? That's right, it's St. Patrick's Day, and I'm wearing my green. Are you wearing your green? Well, I have a special story I'd like to share with you today. It is called The Luckiest Leprechaun. This is a tail-wagging tale of friendship, and it was written by Justine and illustrated by Denise Brunkus. I hope you enjoy today's tale. Let's get started. Mackenzie Shamrock at your service, but you can call me Mac. I'm a leprechaun, and I don't care if you believe in me or not. Get too close and I'll show you who's real with my hammer. I may be small, but we leprechauns, we're not afraid to be trifled with. There, now that that's settled, pull up a toadstool or a chair if you're too big, and I'll tell you my story. I was born beneath a fairy hill, back when time was new. Ever since, I've been making shoes for the fairy folk and guarding my gold from greedy people. Treasure hunters have to get up pretty early in the morning to get the best of Mackenzie Shamrock. And since leprechauns work at night and sleep during the day, I'm up much earlier than most. No, they haven't made a human yet that could outsmart me. Then, people found a new way to boil my potatoes. They stopped believing in leprechauns. They believed all sorts of nonsense. But the little man making shoes beneath the very own hedge couldn't possibly exist. It got so only children and oddballs like Professor Chester believed in me. I didn't need people anyway. I had a nice home under a tree in a quiet park, and as long as I had my gold and my work, this leprechaun was content. Every night I cobbled for the fairies, and since all the little things that they do is dance and lose their shoes, business was pretty steady. And every morning I'd pack away my tools and I'd curl up in me cozy bed. And that's just what I was doing when one fine morning I heard a horrible scratching overhead. Dirt poured down on my favorite armchair as a pair of giant paws burst through my ceiling. My thimble collection clattered to the floor, and I grabbed my hammer and ran outside to see who was wrecking my home. I expected a goblin or some other horrible monster. What do you think it is? I found a shaggy red dog burying a stinky soup bone. "Hello!" she barked. "Who are you?" "I'm Mackenzie Shamrock," I shouted. "And you've got some nerve destroying my home. You'll not be stealing my gold, you mangy mortal. So just take your bone and go." "I'm sorry. I didn't realize anyone was living here," the dog said. "Is that your gold? It's very pretty." "Go! Shoo! Get lost!" I shouted, but the dog didn't budge. Shaking her head, she said, "Oh, I feel terrible. I've got to make this up to you. I'll fix your house. I'll be your guard dog." "I don't need a guard dog," I said. But you must need a friend. Everyone needs friends," the dog said. "My name's Lucky. What's yours?" That made me even madder. "Mackenzie Shamrock!" I yelled. "Oh, that's right, you did tell me," Lucky replied. "But that's so much to remember. May I just call you Mac? I hope we'll be friends. Everything's more fun when you do it together, don't you think? Just the other day Lucky would have gone on like that for hours, but I told her, "Go away and stay away." Apparently, stay was the only command that dumb dog knew, and from then on, wherever I went, there was Lucky. She was slobbering over me. I woke up at dusk. She was on my heels when I gathered cobwebs for thread. After a while, Lucky learned not to talk so much. especially when I first woke up in the morning. I won't say that we became friends, but she got to be slightly less annoying. Speaking of annoying, remember that human I mentioned earlier? Well, that eyeball who didn't believe in leprechauns? Well, that's right, Professor Chester. Well, he started snooping around my park. What's going to happen? He's after me gold, I cried. Maybe he just wants to be friends, Lucky suggested. I snorted. Huh. Humans want only one thing from a leprechaun, gold, but he won't get the best of Mackenzie or Shamrock. Professor Chester was getting dangerously close. He even found a fairy shoe. Don't worry, Mac, said Lucky. You've got your guard dog, remember? I won't let anything happen to your gold. I took no comfort in that mutt's ravings. You think I'll find them? This is getting pretty serious. I watched Professor Chester poring over his books of leprechaun lore. If only I could prove their existence, he muttered. I shuddered. Maybe he'll just go away, said Lucky. I thought about packing up, but I liked my cozy life under the tree, and besides, business was good, and it wasn't so easy to find a park filled with fairies. Then, one day, while I was sleeping, the professor found my tree. He was about to capture me and would have gotten all my gold for sure when suddenly... Woof, 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 woof. Lucky came charging out of the woods. The professor cried, "Help! Monster! Help!" And he dropped his map and he ran off screaming. Whew! I thought I was having a nightmare. I rolled over with a groan and I fell right back to sleep. Professor Chester, though, kept running until he wore out the soles of his shoes. It turned out the professor was scared of dogs. That evening, I woke up feeling something was wrong. For one thing, the dumb dog wasn't licking my face. And suddenly, with a jerk, I remembered the nightmare. I checked for my gold in all my secret hiding places, and it was gone. And so was Lucky. I called Lucky's name until my voice was hoarse, but there was no answer. I felt as if I had lost my shadow and my friend. Then it hit me. My worst fear had come true. The dog wasn't silly as he seemed. Lucky had duped me into trusting her, and as soon as I'd let my guard down, she had run off with all my gold. I, Mackenzie Shamrock, the smartest leprechaun of them all, had finally been tricked out of my treasure. I searched the park for hours, but there was no sign of my gold or of Lucky. I told myself the dog had skipped off with my treasure, but part of me didn't believe it. One minute I was furious, and the next I was worried. What if that stupid pooch had chased a rainbow into traffic, or gotten herself taken to the pound? I couldn't even keep my mind on missing my own gold. He's searching for Lucky. I wonder where she is. By dawn, I was the saddest leprechaun in the world. After centuries of being suspicious, I had finally opened my heart, and then pow! The first friend I'd made had stolen my gold. The sun came up, and I wiped away a tear. Then a voice came up beside me. Why are you crying? Who is it? I turned, and I saw Lucky and my gold. Where were you? I yelled. I was worried sick. Lucky licked my face. You do care. I knew we'd be friends. I wiped the dog slobber away from my face and I grumbled. I was worried about my gold. Lucky explained that she had seen Professor Chester nosing around near my tree, And after she chased him away, she'd hidden my treasure in the tool shed, just to make sure it was safe. Then, worn out from all the excitement, she had fallen asleep. "Did you really spend all night looking for me?" Lucky asked. "And the gold," I added hastily. But the damage was done. The dog knew I cared, and she wouldn't stop wagging her tail over it. So, there's my story. Leprechaun gets gold. Leprechaun gets dog. Leprechaun loses gold. And Leprechaun admits that a loyal friend is worth more than gold, as long as the friend doesn't slobber too much. Now, if that isn't a tale worth telling upon a toadstool, I don't know what is. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope to read another to you very soon. Have a great day.